Hi, welcome to the SDP. I'm Kevin, the happy hipster.
僕はイチゴ、アニメの共同ホストだ。
You know, I'm a huge fan of the website tvtropes.org, and in its honor, I decided to base an episode around one of their articles. Today, I'll be discussing the mascot with attitude trope, a character type which came into being with Sonic the Hedgehog in 1991. Many examples of this do their best to ignore what made the first Sonic games good in favor of following at least 3 of these marketable traits.
1. Is a funny animal, usually with a species surname, i.e. Sonic the Hedgehog or Spyro the Dragon. 2. Comes from a platformer game. 3. Is totally radical. This can be as mild as using totally bogus, outdated slang, or as egregious as giving the character a love of extreme sports, fast food, or anything else with supposed youth appeal. 4. Is quippy, snarky, and prone to making lots of really bad jokes. Bonus points if one of them is a take that against Sonic the Hedgehog. 5. Is competent and violent, but not to child unfriendly levels. He's also not allowed to swear, but will do his best to anyway. 6. A supporting cast which reinforces his status as coolest character in the universe. Look out for an older, uncool antagonist, a sidekick with a case of hero worship, a helplessly devoted and/or snarky love interest, or a rival that's almost, but not quite as cool as the mascot. 7. Advertisements for his games put a lot of emphasis on said game's intensity, especially twitch action and speed.
Historians are uncertain as to when this fad died out. Some point to 1996's Bubsy 3D, commonly placed among the worst video games of all time, which means I so want to check it out. Others point to 2001's Conker's Bad Fur Day, which used adult humor to provide a deconstruction of the concept. Or perhaps it just faded away gradually. There have been some new examples in the 21st century, but apart from legacy characters, these types of creations haven't been relevant in years. And for the most part, this is a good thing. There is a right way and a wrong way to create mascot characters. More on that after this. First, the wrong way.
This furry little fellow is Awesome Possum, and he starred in his self-titled Sega Genesis game created by Tengen in 1993. His shtick is that he's an environmental warrior trying to stop a certain Dr. Machino whose crime is apparently wide-scale pollution without reason. Because... evil? In doing so, Awesome Possum will take every opportunity to remind the player that he is extreme to the max and all that
I'm so cool!
I call this the Plies paradox. If you have to keep reminding people that you're something, then you're not.
And yet it's ironic that Awesome Possum and all those other B-list mascots were designed to be so loud and in your face.
Whilst the attitude displayed by the original example, Sonic the Hedgehog, was groundbreaking for its day, it's not much in the grand scheme of things. In the first game, his flippancy was limited to impatiently tapping his feet and giving a look at the fourth wall if you let him idle for long enough. But Awesome Possum has so many phrases, there's an option to make him speak more or less. Man, in-your-face attitude and in-your-face environmentalism. Throw in some bad Europop and you'd have the most embarrassing parts of the 90s rolled into one bundle. Also, his game sucks, and I might do a proper review of it later on down the road. But for now, I present to you the right way to make a mascot character. In the same year that Awesome Possum was unleashed upon the world, Konami treated us with Rocket Knight Adventures, also for the Genesis. It starred Sparkster, who, ironically enough, is also an opossum, but thankfully the two couldn't be more different in practice. Sparkster doesn't do any talking of his own through text or voice clips, but lets his actions do the talking. Specifically, he takes it upon himself to ward off an invasion from a pig army, rescue the possum princess they kidnapped, because evil, and settle the score with his evil counterpart, Axelgear. そして、外観。スパークスターのデザインは地味も可愛いです。個人的に、僕は鎧やジェットパックの彼の小さなスーツはちょうど僕の心を溶かすと思う。また、彼は日本で作成されました。
日本一 Mother Falcons.
残念なことに、彼の顔は僕里に変更されました。ヨーロッパと日本の川のにアメリカの川を比較してください。
And what do you know, there's another trope for that. Oh right, the jetpack.
Unlike most of the wannabe mascot-led games out there, Rocket Knight Adventures and its main character are designed around a particular new mechanic, and a well-executed one at that. Sparkster's weapon is a sword, which with each swing fires beams for a little extra range, think the early Legend of Zelda games. But by holding the attack button, a meter on the top of the screen charges up. Release the button when it's full, and he will use a jetpack in one of two ways. If you're holding the directional pad, Sparkster will fly off in the target direction. In doing this, he can not only cross large gaps, but ricochet off of walls, a crucial tactic for climbing them. Or you can always release a charge without holding down the direction, making him spin around in place with sword outstretched, a nice defensive move. Your impressive repertoire of attacks lends itself to strategy, especially during boss fights. The sword beams have a higher rate of fire and give you range, but do less damage. The sword alone does loads of damage if you spam it, but you have to get close. And a jet boost does more damage from afar than the beams, but you have to take the time to charge it up. So, you'll have to experiment with the different moves, and hopefully find the methods that work best against each enemy you may face. RKA already succeeds over its totally radical contemporaries through the presence and prevalence of these auxiliary mechanics, but the innovation doesn't stop there. Some of the levels are flying shoot-em-ups where Sparkster zooms around in his jetpack and shoots the aforementioned sword beams. One of these even features a mini-boss designed after one from Gradius. But the game also innovates in more subtle ways. A section at the beginning of level 3 takes place in a crystal cave with a sea of lava rising and falling at regular intervals. At least I think it's supposed to be lava. Don't make me burst out any more tropes. So, you must reach higher platforms before the deadly flow crests. Plus, there are rock formations in the foreground which obscure both you and the platforms, but whatever the lethal liquid is below, it's also reflective, so you'll have to follow a red-tinted mirror image of yourself in order to make these jumps. It's tough to describe in words. Lucky I'm showing you the footage now, but all the more reason to check it out for yourself. And while it's a brief passage, it's just one more example of how much the game throws at you.
Indeed, Rocket Knight Adventures has variety in spades. The jetpack system and the many curves the game throws at you all combine into a platforming experience like no other.
Maybe the physics are a little too slippery here and there, but that shouldn't detract you from witnessing this game and all it has to offer. Both as a character and a video game franchise, Sparkster deserved better than he got, but what he did get was nothing short of sublime. Rocket Knight Adventures scores 95%, an A.
This score includes a new feature which I call the Dragon Award. The Dragon Award symbolizes a work which, even if it has any flaws, they don't diminish the significance of its good parts, and thus represent something you simply must experience in your lifetime. In fact, you could say it's better than a perfect score. This is a must-play. So that's my review, but before I go, let's talk about its sequels. The Sparkster character was more successful than most of his peers, but he only received precious few sequels. In 1994, there were two new games for the Genesis and Super Nintendo, both titled Sparkster. Surprisingly, these are not ports of the same title. The Super NES game lies in an alternate continuity.
Tasukeru tame ni wa, Mega Drive game no Nihon no taito wa, Rocket Knight Adventures 2 deshita.
Thanks a lot, Ichigo.
Then, the series lay dormant until 2010, when with the help of developer Climax Studios, Konami saw fit to release Rocket Knight, a download-only title for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. All three of these games carry on the original's rocket-powered legacy with changes to the formula here and there, and are worth picking up.
Wait a minute. The Sparkster series gets a new game even after 16 years and, as far as I'm concerned, a virtual disappearance from cultural relevance. Meanwhile, Mega Man Legends 3, which is a spin-off of a recognizable pre-existing series and as such at least has brand recognition, gets cancelled? I'm out. This is Kevin with Ichigo, and you are the Resistance. I don't always ask for subscribers, but when I do, I'm still waiting for Mega Man Legends 3. Stay thirsty, my friends.